Hi, it is 11 a.m. Central Time on Monday. So I'm continuing the series, Overcoming Overwhelm. So I've been going through this series, Overcoming Overwhelm, for two weeks ago I started. So talking about you are here for a reason. Who's in the driver's seat was last week, who's in the driver's seat of your life. And today we're going to talk about how the past is messing with your business and your life. We're going to talk a little bit about your mind and your subconscious. And then continuing, we're going through the end of March. Continuing, we're going to be talking about the power of your subconscious mind. A lot of times when people are talking about changing habits or behaviors or healing or different things, they're not addressing that. So it's really important. It's really powerful. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what it is and that kind of stuff. Getting fear under control, quieting the shoulds, and making confident decisions. So all of these things directly affect overwhelm. And if we don't know what's going on, if we don't understand our body and our emotions and how our mind is working, then we're going to feel overwhelmed more of the time instead of feeling like we're in control and we're driving and we can have peace, right? The whole point is to be able to have peace and to know, like I said last week, you're right where you're supposed to be. Life is working for you, not against you, right? And so doing the things that are needed and necessary in order to make that happen. So I'm just going to get on my thing to make sure. Okay, I'm going to have that there in case for comments. So every Monday at 11 a.m., I'll be talking about overcoming overwhelm. And then March 29th, I'm going to have a free workshop, Kick Overwhelm to the Curb, to tell you, to go more in depth about the tools, how we can master our mind, understand our mindset, understand what's going on with our emotions, and then trust ourselves. So today, talking about how your past is messing with your business. And a lot of times when I bring up the past, people are like, I don't want to open up a can of worms. The past is in the past. Like, I don't want to go digging, for skeletons in closets. I don't want to bother with that stuff. And I agree. I do not want to go find anything in your past that is not necessary just for the sake of, digging things up that may be painful. But if you are experiencing procrastination, if you're self-sabotaging, if you are feeling overwhelmed, if you're not where you want to be, if you're frustrated, and especially if you're reacting, if a circumstance happens, a situation happens, and you just react in anger, if you just react in fear, if you just react by shutting down, then the past isn't in the past. It's right here with you right now. And so that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about going and finding things to feel bad about. I'm talking about when the past is right here with you, messing with you right now, stopping you from doing the things you're supposed to do in your business, in your life, the relationships that you're supposed to have with your kids, with your family, when you are reacting in a way that you are not proud of, or that you don't want to keep doing, or that's hurting other people, right? We all do that. So the thing to know about your mind is there is no time. There's no time in our subconscious and in our mind. And what that means is when we were younger, we were getting programmed. We were understanding how the world works, right? How relationships work, how money works, all of those things. So 3 things to know about your subconscious is it communicates with emotions and imagination. So you come into a circumstance, you come into a situation, and you just have a feeling. It just comes up in you, the feeling of overwhelm, the feeling of fear, the feeling of anger. It just comes up, even though in your conscious mind, like, hey, everything's fine. The other thing about your subconscious is it runs old programs, everything that we have. And this includes everything we think about money, everything we think about being in business, everything we think about success, everything we think about our worth was programmed before age 7. When we're little, we're just in that state. It's called alpha brainwave state, where you're just absorbing information. And so from this experiences that you have and the people around you, you're learning, a lot of business owners are learning money is bad, or those people are greedy, or we don't want to be like them, or they hurt people, or all they care about is money. So we get programs like that before age 7, which is insane, but it's the truth. And so again, if you have anything from your past that isn't serving you, anything you've experienced, like for me, I grew up really poor. One of the things in my past that totally messed with my business was that I don't belong here. Like if I was in a room, I would think like I'm less than everybody and I don't belong. That was a powerful belief that I had. And so it happened when I was younger. My logical brain knew, like, of course I deserve to be in this room. Of course I belong here. But that old experiences, that old pattern was there, and it messed with me. So that I would be really uncomfortable. I would be really anxious in different circumstances, and it would mess with my business because I wouldn't show up the way I wanted. I wouldn't talk about my business the way that I wanted. I wouldn't take the actions the way that I wanted. The other thing about our past, our mind, these subconscious programs is, again, like I mentioned, there's no time. So you can experience this. Sometimes I have clients and they say, I was in this situation, and maybe you had to have a hard conversation, or maybe like me, you had to show up in a situation and you'd literally feel small. Like some people say, like, I felt like a kid, or I felt like they were, like bossy and I was small and they were big, or I felt literally small. So that's when you know that the past is messing with you, because you literally, because there's no time, you feel small because you literally feel like a kid, because there's some program, there's something in your past where you had an experience where this situation made you not feel empowered. Maybe you didn't have a voice, or like me, I felt like I didn't belong. You feel like you're stupid. You feel like other people don't want you around. All these things are happening. And it's crazy because you're like, well, I just want to show up. I just want to charge things. I just want to operate in my business. I just want to take action and stop procrastinating, right? And so you're wanting to do all of those things in your logical mind. But if you're not making that connection and you're not communicating with the subconscious part that feels small, the subconscious part that has an old program, the subconscious part that's bringing you these crazy emotions that are stopping you in your tracks, you can't do one without the other. You can't stop procrastinating and take the actions that you want and show up the way you want and charge what you want in your business if you ignore those things that are stopping you from your past. And so this isn't bringing up a can of worms and digging into things. This is saying, hey, let's address what's stopping you. Let's get to the root of it so that you can go and take the actions that you want in your business. So a lot of times people have already tried, and maybe you've already tried this, to do the things consciously. You're trying, you're working really hard to take the actions. You're working really hard to show up. And no matter what you're doing, you're like hitting a wall and it's just not happening. Then there's something in your past. There's something in your past that needs attention and it needs to be addressed. So I'm going to share 3 powerful questions. Last week I shared powerful questions. Your mind responds really well to questions. So I'm going to share 3 questions that are going to help you address it. Because sometimes what can happen is we start talking about the past and then we get stuck there. We say, well, this happened to me in the past, and so that's why I do this, and that's why I can't move forward. And that's never, ever, ever the position we want to be. We want to look at how our past has affected us. For me, I could say, well, this happened to me in my past, and so that's why I can't succeed. And that's never what we want to do. That is not the goal. You understand your past so that you can move past it. You don't understand your past so that it can become a limit or an excuse, right? So these 3 powerful questions are going to give you understanding, and they're going to give you clarity so that you can move to the other side of it. Because even though your subconscious, there is no time, and it's bringing up these things from your past, doesn't mean that you have to stay there. We can ask questions and we can get to the point where you get to show up in a room as the adult you are now. You don't have to feel like that kid. You don't have to feel like you're stupid. You don't have to feel like you're in trouble. You can show up and charge the prices that logically you're supposed to charge, that your coach is telling you to charge, that people around you are telling you to charge, right? You can show up with confidence. You can show up knowing this is the action that I want to take. This is the direction that I want to go. So the first question that you're going to ask is, where is this coming from? And then just sit and listen. So with our logical mind, we can be like, we can come up with answers, we can think of things, but when we want to connect with that subconscious, when we want to connect with the real root of what is really messing with me, what is really holding me back, then we need to ask questions and listen to what comes up. So the first question, if you have any area where you're wanting to take action and you're not taking action, you need to say, where is this coming from? Why can't I charge what I want to charge? What's stopping me from doing that? Or what is stopping me from putting the video online that I want to put online? What is stopping me from having that sales conversation? Ask, where is this coming from? Any area. Maybe you know that you need to put more downtime in your calendar because you're close to burnout. Ask, where is this coming from that I'm not able to take the action that I want to take? Okay. The second question that you're going to ask is it true? So we're going and we're seeing, like for me, I had this belief, I had anxiety about showing up in different spaces and networking and different places where I would be invited even, and I would think I don't belong. And so I went and I thought about, and I asked, where is this coming from? Well, it was coming from a lot of times when I was younger and we didn't have as much money and people would make fun of me, and I would feel like I'm less than everybody. Everybody else here has more money. And that was the truth. And I didn't have as much money. So I thought, I'm less than, I don't belong. I shouldn't be here. So when I asked later on as an adult, when it was messing with me in my business, I asked, where is this coming from? And I saw that, when I was younger, I didn't feel like I fit in. I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel accepted and wanted. I didn't belong. I didn't have the right clothes. I wasn't able to do as much as my peers. And so the second question, is it true? So is it true now that I don't belong? And the way I answered this question was, no, it's not true. And a lot of times I was invited to something. So I could say, I absolutely belong. I've been invited into this space. They want me. They want to hear what I have to say. And those are the things that I told myself. They want to hear what I have to say. I told myself the truth. This is really powerful because it doesn't matter what your past is. That's the thing. We're not hanging out there to make it this bad experience that stops you. We're hanging out there to say, okay, that did happen, but who am I now? What is the truth? I am valuable. I can show up in these spaces. I do belong. And the third question I want you to ask yourself today in any area of something that's stopping you is, what would I like to believe instead? Okay, so for me, it was, I do belong. They want to hear what I have to say. But the bigger thing is that I'm valuable. I get to do things and go places and show up and be myself. That's the truth. And that's how I want to operate. That's what I want to believe, that I am enough. And just telling yourself, I am enough, is powerful. I'm enough to show up in this space. I'm enough to charge more money for my services because I'm providing value for people. I am enough to make a video to teach people something that maybe I have an expertise in. I am enough to set this goal for my business. I am enough to take these actions, even if they're not perfect. I am enough to be able to show up in the way that I want to, right? So these are the three questions. Whenever you have anything that's messing with you, that's stopping you, that's making you feel less than, it's making you feel like I don't belong, that's making you feel like I can't do something, that you're frozen and you're not able to take actions. Again, I'm going to repeat them. Where is this coming from? Is it true? And then what would I like to have and believe instead? What is the truth? How do I want to show up? And as you do that, you begin to change that timeline. You get to, instead of operating like a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old, or for me, like, a 10-year-old that didn't belong and was the poorest kid in the class. And, we got called the welfare kids on the bus because we had, I had shoes that were too big or too small. I would wear my older brother's clothes and things like that, where I didn't fit in, right? I'm not 10 anymore. I'm not 12 anymore. I'm not 7 anymore. I get to show up as me. And these questions help to do that. They help you to decide, who do I want to be? What do I want to believe? Who am I now? And you literally get to grow up that part of you that has been stuck and operating like a kid and really disempowered. You get to step into your power. You get to be who you want to be from now on by asking these questions. What do I want to believe instead? Who do I want to be instead? Who am I? How am I going to show up? And give your brain, it has the vision of the past, right? It has that past programming. It was told, well, this is who you are. For me, you don't belong. And it just ran that program without me even knowing about it until I decided a new program. And for me, this involved, healing and working with somebody else. But we can begin to do this right now on our own. And we say, from now on, what do I want that program to be? From now on, who am I? From now on, what do I believe? That I am valuable. I do belong in that room. They want to hear what I have to say. What I have to say is important. And you can just feel the difference in that, right? From being disempowered to being empowered. Because when we're kids, we are disempowered. We're a kid. So any area that's stuck in that kid mode, because there's no time in our subconscious programming, we get to upgrade to adult mode, where you remind yourself, you tell yourself, from now on, I get to decide that I belong in these rooms. I get to decide that my voice is important. I get to decide that it's okay, that it's safe for me to charge more money. I get to decide that I'm valuable, that people like me, that I'm enough and I'm worthy, right? So I encourage you to do that today, because that's the main thing that messes with our business. You can get all the strategy, all the how-tos, all the knowledge that you could ever find, all the information that you could ever find, but this is the key. Anybody with true success does this inner work of understanding what those old beliefs and programs are and upgrading them to the truth about who you are now. So those 3 questions are going to help you do that. Again, this is a series, Overcoming Overwhelm, because when we don't do the thing, when I didn't believe that I belonged, it was overwhelming, because I had a vision. I had things I wanted to accomplish. I had things that I wanted to do. And when I didn't believe I belonged, it was overwhelming, because we were going in 2 different directions. My conscious mind had goals and visions and things I wanted to do. And my subconscious was saying, you can't, you shouldn't, you don't belong. That's overwhelm. Upgrading those beliefs to the truth. I can do this. I am worthy of this. I am enough. That gets rid of overwhelm, because you are now in alignment. You can now take the actions that you want to take in your business. So, like I said, we're going to be continuing this series Mondays at 11 a.m. Let me know what came up for you as you asked yourself these questions. And then I'm going to put a link for the free workshop, Kick Overwhelm to the Curb, in the comments. And in that workshop, we're going to go further. I have these questions are some of the questions that we're going to be asking. We're going to be really understanding that subconscious. We're going to do a powerful subconscious transformation exercise that you can begin to change those patterns with, that I love, and that everyone who experiences it really loves, and it's really powerful for them. And it's going to be just a deeper dive into this to give you a whole workbook and overview of specific things you can do to overcome overwhelm in your life. What came up when you asked yourself these questions? What is it that's messing with me? Is it true? And what do I want to believe instead? I would love to hear what came up for you. And I encourage you to just know that at any time you can change the programs. You can become empowered to take the actions that you want to take. We can change our mind. We can change how our brains are operating. We can change these programs. That's the most exciting part. So I hope you have an amazing day. I'm going to be looking at the comments. I would love to hear if any of this resonated, or if there's any areas that you are struggling with. I hope that you have an amazing day.